Hey millionaire, we all know how hard it is to win the lottery. In fact, it's estimated that the odds of you being killed by a vending machine are higher than the odds of becoming a jackpot winner. I know, shocking. Apparently, this happens to 1 in 112 million people, which is significantly more probable than winning the lottery. But for Stefan Mandel, winning the lottery was a piece of cake. All because he was smart enough to invent an algorithm that helped him win the lottery not just once, but 14 times, making him a multi-millionaire. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the incredible story of Stefan Mandel and how his knowledge of mathematics helped him win the lottery in every country he had played it in. So, let's get to it. Stefan Mandel was a renowned mathematician who grew up in Romania during the communist era. Because most of the population lived in abject poverty, there were few ways to earn money honestly in Romania, unless, of course, you won the lottery. Life under Soviet rule was incredibly hard and discouraging for people of Romania trying to survive the harsh conditions imposed by the Soviet government. And like many other citizens, Mandel found himself struggling to feed his wife and 2 children on a salary of just $88 a month. There were 3 options for surviving communist Romania: resorting to illegal activities, fleeing to the West, or engaging in politics. But Stefan Mandel was not willing to commit a crime, so he devised a way to survive in his own country based on his ingenuity. And he sure was ingenious, because he proved that he can invent an algorithm that will win every time he played the lottery. Can you imagine being that smart? What technique do you use when you try to win the lottery? Tell us in the comments. Mandel saw the lottery as his ticket out of the country. He was willing to invest as many hours as necessary to change his future. But not even this genius would be able to predict his great success. In the late 1950s, while working as an economist for the Romanian Mining Consortium, he had the brilliant idea to beat the lottery odds. So he began experimenting with different mathematical formulas until he found the secret that allowed him to predict 5 of the 6 winning numbers. For years later, he put his winning formula into practice with 3 close friends. He intended to win the second prize, which only required matching 5 numbers. Thanks to his formula, plus a sudden stroke of luck, he matched up the 6th number as well, and they won the jackpot. After splitting the winnings with his friends, he made the haul of just short of 73,000 lei, which was equivalent to 18 years of his salary. But he did not stop there, as this was only the beginning of his successful career in the lottery world. Mandel gathered all of the money and used it to escape Romania with his family. He set out to move to Israel, where he thought he'd be better received because of his Jewish ancestry. Unfortunately, he discovered that leaving a communist country was not as easy as he thought, since the government did not want anyone to leave the territory. Fortunately for Mandel, he had money, and money can always work miracles. He bribed every single officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that he can leave the country safely and finally say goodbye to Romania. After leaving his country, he settled in Israel with the money he had left. But he and his family did not stay long. They ended up moving to Australia, where Mandel worked on a plan to help him win the lottery another 13 times. During the 1980s, Australia had a strong economy and quite affordable prices, allowing the family to settle and obtain citizenship. Thanks to his Australian citizenship status, Mandel started doing business in the British Commonwealth countries, of which Australia was a part at the time. And this gave him access to both the UK and Australian lottery systems. However, Mandel decided to go a step beyond theory, abandoning his process for finding the winning formula in favor of a new, more profitable strategy. Instead of trying to predict the UK's winning combination, he devised a second, even simpler plan. The first step was to acquire as many tickets as possible. That could have been really expensive, but Mandel had had enough time to plan each of the steps that would allow him to abuse the system. All he had to do was find enough people willing to participate in his plan. He would gather a large group of buyers and have this crowd of people send him the tickets they bought. Once it was confirmed that a winning ticket was in Mandel's possession, the economist would take the receipt and use it to claim the winnings. Then, he would distribute the money equally to all participants. The best part about this method is that the whole process was legal. There was no law in Australia that prevented them from buying a large number of tickets amongst a group of people and dividing the winnings equally. To ensure the legality of his actions, Mandel decided to approach Australian lottery officials and tell them about his plans. However, it's likely no one took him seriously because of how far-fetched the idea sounded. His strategy proved to be highly effective. It led him to win the lottery 12 more times while living in Australia, but his unusual success did not go unnoticed. In response to Mandel's strategy, the government decided to enact numerous laws that would stop the economist once and for all. One of these laws made it illegal for one man to buy all the tickets in a lottery. Still, Mandel found a solution by bringing together 5 partners. When the new law didn't work, the government decided to enact a second rule that would prevent a group of people from buying all the lottery tickets in a lottery drawing. However, Mandel was not only good with numbers, he also had a good understanding of the law. He decided to start a lottery company, which allowed him to re-implement his strategy without breaking the rules. Eventually, the laws became so strict that Mandel found it impossible to continue running his lottery business without committing a crime. He was forced to make one of the wisest decisions of his career. He simply started again in another country where the laws were more flexible to continue to implement his strategy. Are you loving this story? Like and subscribe for more. Of course, Mandel set his sights on the United States, where no law prevented a player from cornering the market. However, there was one problem he had not foreseen. There were many different lotteries that all had totally different mechanics, depending on the state. After carefully studying the laws and rules of each state, he set his sights on Virginia, where there were only 7.1 million lottery number combinations. With the price of $1 per ticket, he needed to raise about 7.1 million to buy all the lottery combinations. But since he always split his winnings with his investors, he didn't have that much money. Fortunately, Mandel still retained some of his Australian connections. He gathered up support of 2,500 investors and managed to convince them to put up $2,500, which he used to get his plan off the ground. And that's why, in 1992, after the Virginia lottery jackpot reached 27 million, his team finally decided to take action. Unlike other state lotteries, the Virginia lottery allowed players to print their own tickets at home, and Mandel had some laser printers available to print the 7.1 million tickets they needed. After paying $60,000 to cover logistics and shipping the tickets to the US, he began negotiating with store owners in Virginia to buy tickets in bulk. All he needed to do was pay for the tickets at the stores. But the problem was that the convenience stores began to run out of tickets until they stopped selling them altogether. This happened when Mandel's team still had more than 1 million combinations left to buy. The situation could have ended very badly for the economist, but he was saved by luck, along with his 6 million tickets. Mandel and his team became the holders of the only winning tickets. They walked away with numerous prizes, including the $27 million jackpot, the second and third prizes, and thousands of smaller prizes. They managed to collect over $30 million, something even Mandel would not have been able to predict. After his case became world famous, the CIA and FBI began investigating his win. 4 years into their investigation, they discovered that everything he had done was legal. No one heard from Mandel again, as he decided to spend his last years in anonymity. It is clear, however, that he is enjoying his fortune. Today, it would be virtually impossible to replicate the same trick, since so many lotteries worldwide have taken measures to stop anyone from using this technique. They've even increased the number of possible combinations to win the grand prize to stop people from copying Mandel. But that doesn't mean we'll never see another lottery winner adopt a similar, restructured method. Stefan Mandel has taught us that even the impossible can become possible, with a little ingenuity and many hours of study.